right, I went out to slideshare.net, and some of you may know what that is, some of you may not. It's kind of a neat site. They've got usually a lot of PowerPoint presentations on a lot of different stuff. And these are both shorts. I wanted to show them to you. This is just to kind of further talk about what I was mentioning to you before. So this one's entitled ASP.NET MVC. All right. It's a fairly new framework. What does it give you? I already mentioned this, that clear separation between the model of view and the controller, the test-driven environment rather, more control over your HTML and your JavaScript, and what you'll see later are these friendly URLs. That's what I started to mention to you before. You won't have this query string with a boatload of stuff after it. Okay. So in a nutshell, I'm not going to read this to you, but if you look, this is what it is. All right. And you'll notice the only thing that I don't like here is technically this isn't right. There shouldn't be an arrow between the view and the model. The view and the model never converse directly with one another. They have to always converse through the controller if you're writing this correctly. All right, talked about the test-driven stuff, and you'll see that hopefully when we go on. It says, an ASP.NET MVC designed HTML and JavaScript pages are not more messed up with postbacks and view states. This is an example here of the view state that we looked at before. You won't see that in here anymore. These are those friendly URLs. All right. Now this is a real simple example, but what you may or may not realize is when you write these more friendly URLs, they're also more SEO friendly. So search engines are able to optimize them easier, which will put you higher up, ideally, on the search engine pecking order. That already. Here again, those folders, I already mentioned them to you. App data, where our database goes. Content, where we put our CSS, our images. I don't know, if they say to put the images in there, we can do it. We're not going to have many images anyway. Controllers, already talked about the fact that it has to have controller on the end of the name. Models, where we'll have our classes that are going to handle our logic. Scripts, which is going to hold our script files, including our jQuery and our JavaScript. And views, which is where we should typically put all of our views. Right? There's another one. I think that's fine. I wanted to show you this, though. If you'd look up on the screen here, this is what we're going to do in just a few minutes. In fact, I'm just going to, it's a little early, but I'm going to give you another break. But I'm going to show you this, and that is, I think I've mentioned this gentleman to you before, but I follow this guy out on YouTube. His name is Brad Traversy. And I've gone through his, he calls it a Git and GitHub crash course for beginners. It's about 30 minutes long, but what I have done, we're not going to go through that as a class, but I'm going to go through, and mine will be longer than 30 minutes, but I'm going to basically summarize what he went through in there. All right? So after the break, we're going to do that. We're going to talk about a few things, but I did want you to know, again, you may care, you may not care, but I am doing a series of lectures that I'm putting out for our class that are on Git as well. So if you look here, that's the wrong one. But if I go out to the YouTube page for the class, I already have 5 of the 6 Git lectures done. And I'm going to do one more. All right? So we're going to take a break. Let's come back. Just make it short. Let's come back at 3:05, and we'll look at Git for about an hour. All right? In just a second, I'm going to go over this Git URL list. I just sent this to you. By no means is it complete, but it's got a lot of stuff out there that if you want to learn more, you'll be able to.
Mutual stood with me when this guy got...
All right, well, they're not back, but I'm going to start anyway. And it looks like I forgot to turn it off during the break, but that's okay. All right, so what I'd like to do is to talk to you a little bit about what Git is about. I'm going to go through this, but I'm not going to spend time on every slide, but this is from SlideShare, and I just want to hit a couple of the high points that are in here, all right? They have this goofy little thing in there, but I guess that's their mascot. So talk about what Git is and what GitHub is. First of all, you can go out right here, and this is in the list of URLs I gave you. But if you go out to http://git-scm.com/download/win, that's where you can download it. All right? And just so you see this, so that's the download page there, okay? And if I go over to here and I go over to /downloads, /win. Okay, yeah, make me a liar. I love that.
I think it's just download.
Download. Okay, I'll take your word for it. Thank you. And you'll notice, even though I've got it already, it's downloading it. All right. Now, it's a simple Windows install. So when I click on it, basically to start it up, I've already got it, but I'm not going to go through the whole thing. So, it'll ask you, etc. And as you go through, it's got all the licensing information. If you feel like reading that, you can. What I'm going to recommend, if you look up on the screen here, make sure both of these are checked. All right. The Git Bash allows you to run Git from a command line. The Git GUI is a GUI. What I'm going to show you between now and the next umpteen minutes, however that long is how to do this from the command line. All right. We'll talk next time about how to do it from the GUI, but I'd like you to see both. All right. So you go through that, you click next. Some books recommend that you click this because it gives you more commands. This is the one you get by default. If you just accept all the defaults, so if you click here and you click here and you click here and you click there and you click there, boom, it's going through the install. I'm going to cancel that because I've already got it. Well, I'm going to try to cancel it, and it won't let me. So there we go. That'll do the setup for you. Okay? Now, the thing to realize about using Git, as mentioned right here, we'll talk about GitHub in just a bit, but the thing about using it is it's a software versioning control system. You use it in two different ways. Either if you're just doing your own stuff, so you can chart changes over time, or in collaboration with something like GitHub, where different people can share the same code at the same time. All right. What is Git? Again, it allows distributed version control. It's about 13 years old. I think it was created right near the beginning of 2005. And the guy who created it is Linus Torvald or something. Yeah, Torvald. He's the same guy who was one of the creators of Linux. All right, the Linux operating system. It's not the only version control system out there. Mercurial is the one that most people know, but Git is probably the one with the best reputation. So how does Git work? The good news is there aren't a lot of commands that you have to really memorize, so to speak. All right? What Git does is it takes a snapshot of your code in time, and it saves it for you. So you can always go back to that snapshot later if you want to. Okay? Creating the snapshot is called a commit. There's a little bit more to it than that. So we'll talk about that in just a couple minutes. All right? What Git does is it allows you to create what's called a code repository. It's a place, it's a holder for code. All right? Your repositories can live on your own computer, or they can live on a remote server if you use GitHub. You can copy your own repository or someone else's by using what's called cloning. When you grab stuff from a server, it's called doing a pull. If you send stuff to a server, it's called doing a push. So you push to a server, you pull from a server. When you are working most of the time in Git, you'll be at what's called the master branch, which means you're kind of like at your home page. But you can create branches off your master branch if you want to and do what's called branching. Again, that's one of the ways that you can let people share code. All right, there's an example in here. I'm not going to go to this, but if you go out to this, there's an example of what it all looks like. And they're going to show you some pages in here. It doesn't really look like this, but this is what's happening behind the scenes. Like I said, that's not really that important. All right, I'd like to do two things between now and the end of the period. The first thing, now you don't have to do this unless you've never worked with Git before. So if you've never worked with Git before, please go out to this right here, to the URL. If you came in late, you didn't see it, I'll make it bigger. This will allow you to go and download Git. All right, it's right there. Just go through and accept all the defaults. All right, what this will do is this will put the Git software on your machine. It's not a real big, I don't remember what the size of it is. It's really not that important. The newest, as you can see right there, is 2.14.3. It may start to download up for you right away, and if it does, again, just accept all the defaults. Everybody been able to do that? You what?
Yeah, I got to it. It's still down.
Okay. I'm going to have you go through and I'm going to tell you exactly what to type in, and I'm not saying it's going to make a whole boatload of sense, but we're going to do this for about a half an hour or so. All right? Then I'm going to show you some place that you can go if you want to learn more and do it on your own. Okay? So everybody can do this, even if yours is still loading. Boy, I got way too much garbage out here. All right, but everybody, if you look, you can all go out to your desktop, just right mouse click on your desktop, choose new, choose folder, all right, and I'm just going to call mine Git. Doesn't matter what you call it. Call it Git Practice. It really doesn't matter because we're just going to practice a couple things. So I've just created this brand new, spanking new folder with virtually nothing in it, which is just fine. All right, there it is. If I double click on it, you can see that it's empty. All right. So now, Tiffany, if yours is still loading, this probably won't work on yours yet. But for the rest of you, if you right mouse click on the folder, that's great. Well, when I did mine before, I removed the Git that I had on there. Let's see if I did or not. I think I did. I should never walk through those steps with you like I did, so. It says it's there. Do it anyway. All right, if you right mouse click, so if you've created this folder and you right mouse click on it, ideally, you're going to see something similar to what I have. In that you'll have the Git GUI here and the Git Bash here. Do you see those? Choose the Git Bash here. And it's going to open up a window like this. All right, I'm going to show it to you first from the command line. And if you want to, you can stretch this window out. Doesn't matter. You could make it fill up the whole screen. It really doesn't matter. But what I do want to show you, because sometimes it bugs people, it's like, well, that's real small. If you hold down on the control and you use your mouse wheel, you can make it bigger if you want to do that. If you don't care, just leave it the way it is. All right, so I'm going to teach you or show you some of the basic Git commands. All Git commands, here's a surprise, start with the word Git. All right? So the first command that we're going to put in here is just to find out the version we have. So we're going to put in git ---- version. And you can see exactly what it shows you.
Case sensitive at all?
What's that?
Case sensitive at all?
Yes, some of it will be. I put everything in lowercase unless you're told otherwise. That's a good question. All right. So git ---- version. Notice I can also, do you know what DOS key is? You can use your up arrow key to show your last command. Okay. Now, but notice if I do this again and I forget to put git, so if I just put ---- version, it doesn't know what that means. So all Git commands have to start with the word Git. All right? So right now, I'm actually running in the equivalent of a Linux or Unix shell right now. I am. Okay? How do I know that? Because I'm running in what's called Bash. And Bash is a Unix or Linux shell. Now, the other way I know that is I can type in a command like ls. And what ls does is it lists all the files you have in your current folder. I don't have any in there, so it's not showing any. All right? Now, what I'm going to show you next, you don't have to do this, but I just want to show it to you. I can, you know how if I go down here into my command window and I type in CMD, I can bring up a DOS command window? You can run Git from in there too. So I can run in Git -- version, and it'll still work. So you can run it from in there. I don't care. I'm not going to do that. I'm just telling you that you can. All right. So that's the first thing. Now, I don't have anything in my folder. I already told you that. Okay? So I'm going to put some stuff in there. Now, I could go into my editor. I could go into brackets or wherever and put a bunch of stuff in there, but I don't want to do that. I'm going to just create 3 empty files by doing this. I'm going to type in touch index.html, and it's such a good file that I'm going to do it twice, and the second time I'm going to call it index2.html, and then I'll do one more touch, and I'll call this script.js. All right. And again, we don't have a lot of time. I don't want to sit there and because some of you do type slow, sorry, but I'm going to go through this. All right. Now, if you take a look here, notice that now under my folder, I have 3 files. They're all empty files, but I have 3 files. All right. So the next thing that I want to do after I've touched them is I want to basically do a git init. That'll create a repository for me. So I type in git space init. And it's telling me it's created an empty Git repository for me right where I am. Okay? And I'm going to show it to you right now. Fortunately or unfortunately, most of you are not going to be able to see it. So I'll show you how you can see it in just a second. All right? So if I type in ls right now, okay, it says index, index2, and script. And I'm like, well, wait a minute, you just told us that it just created a new folder. There's the folder, but it's not showing it to me. All right? Your folder, when you double click, may or may not show. Since it starts with a period, it's considered an invisible folder. All right? But the way that you can get around that, I believe if you come down into your status bar here and you type, I think if you type in the word folder, right there like that, and if this box comes up, which it should, and you go to view up here, that you'll have to look, but where it says show hidden files, folders, and drives, that radio button should be chosen. And if it is, then you should be able to see any files or folders that start with a dot. All right? This today is about as hardware oriented as I get. All right? All right, mine's already chosen, so I don't have anything to do, so it's there. Now, if you look in here, if I double click on the Git folder, there's a bunch of stuff in there. I'm just telling you, this is me talking, not from a book, not from me. Don't touch the stuff that's in here. This is your software version control system. These are files that are being managed for you so that it's able to take snapshots of whatever it is you're working on. So you don't want to jack with it. All right? Also, and I'm not too proud to do this, I know that it sounds like at least you two have got some experience with this. If I tell them to put in a command and I screw it up, feel free to correct me. That's fine. I don't have any problem with that. How much Git experience do I have? Oh, let's see. I could do it. I could tell you in hours. All right? Not a lot. All right? So, I'm in here, and like I said, I've now got this. So I'm going to come back into this, and what's the next thing I want to do? Well, it's considered proper protocol to let Git know who you are and what your email is. Okay? So the next command I'm going to put in is git config -- global user.name, and unless that's your name, and I know it isn't, put your own name in there in single quotes. I don't think it matters if you use single quotes or double quotes. All right? So that's letting the system know, all right, that's letting the system know who you are, all right? And then don't just put in your name, also put in your email. And again, it really doesn't matter if you want to use a home email or whatever, but I'm just going to use my work email here and hit enter. And you'll notice when I type this stuff in and I get all done, that it's not giving me any message back. Typically, the only time with a lot of these commands, not all of them, but with a lot of them, the only time you're going to get something back is if you screw up typing in the command. All right. Otherwise, if you put in a command and you get nothing back, quite often at least, it's a good thing. All right. Now, I want to show you some of the major Git commands. This won't be extensive. So, if you'd please look up on the screen here for a second. This may be the most important part of the lecture. I don't know. There is an online book. You can either read it online or you can download it for free. It's a free PDF. If you go out to this, https://git-scm.com, which is the homepage, /book/en/v2. All right. Now you say, well, I missed it. Well, let me just show it to you. It's called ProGit. It's an A-Press book, and you can go through, and it literally brings it up page for page. If I ever get the time, I'd like to go through the whole book. I'm sure there's much, much, much more that I don't know about this product than I do. All right. There are also tutorials out on the homepage, and I gave you a couple tutorials on the file that I emailed you right before, when we had the break. So you've got a lot of material. So far, all we've done really is a git init. That's it. All right. Let me get rid of this. All right. So the next thing that I'm going to do is I'm going to type in Git Status, because I just want to see what's happening. Before I do, if you look up on the screen here, do you notice how every time it's giving me the command prompt here, it's got master in parentheses there? That's the master branch. That's where I currently exist. Later, we're going to make another branch off of this, just so you can see it. All right? All right. So I'm going to type in Git Status. All right? So when I typed in Git Status, it's letting me know where I am. I'm on branch master. I haven't committed anything yet. And I've got 3 files that right now are referred to as being untracked. All right? And what happens when you take files and you get ready to commit them to your repository is you first do, and we're going to do this in a minute, don't do it yet, you do a git add. All right? And that adds those files not to your repository. That adds your files to kind of a temporary area. It does what's known as staging your files. It's making them ready to be committed. Then when you're ready to commit, we'll do a git commit. And that will commit your files. That will take them from the staging area, which is sort of like purgatory. It's not heaven, it's not hell. All right? And it'll commit those files for you. So we'll look at that. And we'll look at a push and a pull and a clone. But there's probably other things, all right, that as we go through here, we'll take a look at also. But those are the major ones, just so you know that. All right. In fact, I've got someplace in my mess, I've got a list of the major commands. I'll email that to you, too, the ones that we're going to use in here. All right. So, like I said, that's a start. I've got my own little cheat sheet here. So what we can do is, let's say right now, I just want to take this index.html file, just this file. All right, and I want to add that to my staging area. So I can type in git add index.html and hit enter. Really big. Really big. All right. Now, remember before I typed in git status and it said there were no commits, right? Well, I'm going to go back and I'm going to type in Git Status again. And Git, come on, there we go. And it's telling me now I've got a new file that's in my staged area. It hasn't been committed yet, but it's ready to be committed. All right? And it says if I don't want it there anymore, I can do this. So I can type in git -rm for remove, git rm for remove, -- cached, and then the name of the file, index.html. All right, and if I do another git status, you'll see that that file is no longer green. It's now been unstaged, for lack of better words. All right? All I'm trying to show you is how we're moving files in and out of this versioning system. Okay? All right. If I decide I want to take both of these files, notice I've got two files that end with .html. Everybody see that? Correct? I've got index.html and I've got index2.html. Well, I could come in here, don't type this, but I could type in git add index.html, hit enter. Now when my cursor comes back, I could type in git add index2.html and hit enter. No problem doing that. Or I can just come in there and I can do git add star.html inside of single quotes, and you'll notice that now both those files have been staged. All right? So I typed in git add, and then in single quotes, star.html. Again, I'm showing you how to move things in and out here. All right? If I had wanted to move everything at once, there's a shortcut for doing that too. So let's say I've got 20 files and I just want to move them all at once. I can just say git add dot and hit enter. And that takes everything that was ready to be staged, and it stages it. Git add dot. So now notice if I do a git status, now all my files are green. All right? So I did a git add dot. All right? Now, I've decided I want to remove all of these. Can I do this? Oops. Can I come in there and type in git rm -- cached dot. I want to remove all of them. Can I do that? And it's saying, I'm not letting you. But if you want to, you can put in that command, and after the -- cached, you can put in -r. The R stands for recursively. That means go through the whole system and remove anything you find. If you've ever worked with DOS, it's like a remove star.star in DOS. So if I do that and hit enter, all right, now it's telling me it's removed these three. And if I do another git status, now it shows all of them as red again. Okay, meaning that none of them have been staged. All right. Well, I could go and add any of these, but before I do, this is me speaking. I think it'd be kind of stupid to add all three of these because right now none of them have anything in them. All right. So this is what I'm going to do. If you take a look up here, I'm going to come in and I'm going to right mouse click on my index.html file. I'm going to open it or edit it with Notepad. It doesn't matter what you use. It says the file. Get that text. I don't care. Oh, give me a break. I don't care. All right. So I want this. I've got too much junk in here. Okay, there it is. So I'm just going to come in, start creating a regular HTML document. Notice it's picking up all the coloring. because it's already been saved as an HTML document. Almost as simple an HTML document as I can create. I'm going to save it. I can even go and run it if I want to. There it is. Again, not much in it. I don't care. All right. But I have created, I have something in there now. Okay. And it doesn't matter. You can put whatever you want there. You can just put your name in there if you want. It really and truly doesn't matter. All right. It doesn't have to look like this. And remember, you're not turning this in anyway. All right. So I'm going to go back into Git, and now I am going to add it. So I'm going to say Git add index.html. Okay, and then I'll do a Git status. And the system always tries to let me know, for lack of better words, kind of where things stand. So it's telling me here, after I just ran the command, it said, okay, you're at your master branch. You have not committed anything yet. All right? You do have a file with changes that's ready to be committed. If you want to remove that file, you can. We already did that, so I'm not going to. You also have 2 files that are untracked, which means they're kind of out in nowhere land. They've been created. They're not part of the repository. All right? And technically, this file is not yet part of the repository. All right. Now, I don't type this in, but if I want to commit it, I can now just type in Git Commit. I'm going to recommend, this is me speaking, I'm going to recommend you never ever do that. All right. And I'm going to show you right now why I recommend you never ever do that. Don't type this, please, because it's a pain in the butt. So I am going to do it, to show you how big a pain in the butt it is. So I'm going to type in Git Commit. And it puts me into an editor. This editor is called Vim. All right? And it's a dialect of VI, which don't ask me how VI is for visual editor, but it's a typical Unix editor. All right? And it's very hard to figure out what you're supposed to do here. But typically or technically what you're supposed to do is type something in here and then hit escape and then do a :WQ. And it's like, what? I don't know. Just don't do it. I'm going to just type in here, or try to, :Q and hit enter. I'm out of it now. All right? I'm going to suggest that instead of doing it that way and saying Git Commit, you type in Git Commit. You can all do this. And then in single quotes, put a comment that explains what you're going to do. All right? So I'm putting in here initial commit and hit enter. And notice it does not push me into that editor. If you just do a Git commit, if that's all you do is just a Git commit, it's going to always push you into that Vim editor. If you do the -M and you put something in there, I think it'll even take single quote, then you're not pushed into that editor. It's always recommended that every time you do a commit, you write some kind of a command. Some type of a comment that explains why you're doing that commit or what you're committing or whatever. All right, it's a software versioning system, but it helps if you let the system know what it is you're working on. All right. Telling me it's aborting the commit. I don't know why, but let's see. No, I don't know why it would have done that. Second time it took it. First time I typed it in, it didn't take it. Maybe I typed in something wrong. It really doesn't matter.
You didn't have dash n.
Oh, I didn't put the dash M here. See that? Thank you, Brady. Yeah. So it's Git minus M followed by your comment. Yeah, since I left it off, you may have too. But notice now, after I put this in, Git Commit minus M with a comment. After I do that, and I type in Git Status, notice what file is not showing anymore. Everybody see that? The index.html does not show in green. It does not show in red. That file has been added to our code repository. All right? I can go in and make changes to the file and then recommit it. There's all sorts of different things that we can do to it. All right? Let's see, we went through that. All right. Now, I think you'd all agree we haven't done a whole heck of a lot. All right? But let's suppose right now what we do want to do is we want to be able to take what we've done so far, and we want to be able to put it onto a server. All right? So then, in this, you are going to have to sign up for an account for this. But what I'd like you to do is go out to the internet and go to github.com. Yours may or may not look exactly like mine does. I already have an account. I don't remember which one of these you have to use to try to get an account, but notice I'm signed in already. All right? But someplace, hopefully on your front page, it'll ask you if you want to register for an account. All right? I would recommend using your Rankin email. You can use any one you want. But I would also recommend that you remember your password. All right? Was everybody able to do that and sign up for an account? All right, a couple people look like their machines are still coming up, and that's fine. Git and GitHub work together. Git allows you to make changes on your own machine, and if you have a GitHub account, then what you can do is you can push those changes to the GitHub server. Now, I'm not going to click any of these, but if you look right here, notice there's the read a guide, so if you want more, a lot more than I could ever give you, you can click the read a guide. All right? What I'd like you to do is, if you'd all look up on the screen here, is if you were able to set up an account, click the plus sign that you see up here. Click that plus sign in the upper right-hand corner and choose New Repository. So it's telling me what it's doing right now. It's going to create one on my home page. All right? And I'm going to just give it a name. All right? And I'm going to call it first_git_repository. You can really call it anything you want. Repository. All right? Now, I'm going to keep going through here. First of all, did you notice the check mark? It says I didn't break anything for the naming convention. I believe it doesn't like spaces, and a few other things. So if you get something other than the check mark, you gave it an illegal name. All right? Now, it asks for a description here. Do you have to put one in? No, hell no. You don't have to. All right? And I'm just going to say initial Git repository. That's it. All right? Yours won't say JP Scott Rankin. Yours should have your login, your account information. All right? Now, this is what I mentioned to you before. That public means that anybody can see it. So anything you do out here, anybody else is going to be able to see. All right, why am I telling you that? I wouldn't put personal stuff out there on a public account. All right. That said, if you choose private, there are costs involved. It's not free. All right. What we'll do in a couple weeks is we'll use Bitbucket, because bitbucket.org, if you get a Bitbucket account, that will allow you to do public or private, and they're both free. Just so you can see the difference between them. That's all. All right. And it says here, do you want to initialize this repository with a README? All right. It says skip this step. This will let you immediately clone the repository to your computer. We can check that, sure. Now, we don't have a license, and this add git ignore, we're going to add that ourselves in just a little bit. All right, so that should be fine the way it is. So I'm going to click create repository. And now my window has changed. All right, notice since I told it to create a README file, that's this. If I didn't like that, I could create my own README file, and I think it's called a markup file. It's supposed to be called readme.md, so you can create your own. I mean, this is not very descriptive, but it's good enough. So that's going to remain here. All right. And this is fine, so I'm done for now. I'm not going to close this, but I'm going to switch back into here. Okay? What if I decided, looking at these files that are right here, we're going to pretend for a second. It's always fun to pretend. We're going to pretend that index2.html and script.js, those are personal files. Everybody with me? We're not even going to put anything in them, but we're going to pretend those are personal files. They're ours, and we don't ever want them to be committed or anything else. Does that make sense? All right, we don't even want them to show right here, but they're showing right here. So we're going to create a new file. It's going to be called .git ignore. All right? Is there a dot? I don't remember. Oh, where's my stuff? Yeah. So we're going to type in touch.git ignore. You have to spell it right, because that file means something. And Tiffany had asked before about caseness. It's expecting it to be in this case too. All right. So, boom. Again, I'm not given really any notice or anything. It just gives me my prompt back. But if you look here in my Git folder, now I've got a file called .git ignore. And if you notice, it's just a text file. So I'm going to right mouse click on this text file, and I'm going to open it with Notepad. And I'm going to type in here index2.html and script.js. That's what I named my two files. If you haven't been naming your stuff the same thing I have, you have to change it to those names. All right? So I'm going to do that, and I'm going to save it. I'm not going to run it. It's a text file. All right? So I can close that file now. And I'm going to come in, and you just saw when we did this, I had done a Git status. And you saw that when we did that, we had committed our one file, and these other two are just sitting there, correct? So I'm going to come back, and I'm going to do another Git status. And you'll notice what's red, but you'll also notice what's not there. All right, hopefully that's what yours looks like. All right, you still could commit that git ignore file, but that would kind of go against it. What you can put in that .git ignore file are any files. There are any files that you don't want the system, when you're committing, that you don't want the system to add to your repository. Okay? And if I wanted to, you don't have to do this, but I just want to show you. You don't have to do this. But let's say I came in here and I created a new directory. So I'm just going to do file new, or a new folder. And I'm just going to call this, I don't know, garbage. It's a stupid name, but you get the idea. All right, and let's say that in here, I created a new file, okay, and it was called hello.txt. All right, and for some reason, let's copy it. So now I got a bunch of them. All right. Now, again, you don't have to do this. I'm just trying to show you something. That's all. All right. What I could do if I wanted to is I can do a file. Not from there. I'm sorry. I can do a file open, and I can open that git ignore file, and I can put in there /garbage, and that will then hide every file under that folder. Does that make sense? I can even do this. Let's assume I've got about 10 different kinds of files in there. I can do /garbage/star.txt, and that'll just ignore all the text files that are in the garbage folder. So there's a lot of ways that you can use this, is what I'm telling you. All right? I'll just leave it like that. Okay, so the time has come where, and I mentioned this to you before, we're going to pretend for just a moment, all right? So we're going to pretend that we've got two of us are going to be working on the same project here, okay? We're just going to pretend that. It's going to be you and you, but we're going to pretend that it's two different people, all right? So where we are right now is we're still at the master. You've already seen that. We talked about this before, all right? But what I can do is I can, for lack of better words, kind of make a copy of what I'm working on. And that's called doing a checkout. So what I want to do is I'm going to pretend for just a minute. I'm pretending here, all right, that I'm going to type in here git checkout, and I'm going to type in login. Why didn't it like that? Oh. That's what I typed in. That's what it is. Error. Login did not match any files known to Git. Oh, okay. All right. Well, you shouldn't have to do anything. Oh, it's not because it's not. Okay. I should have done this in the same order I did it before, and I didn't, and that's what's screwing me up here, so sorry. See if I can do this. Git branch login. Okay. Type in git branch login. Okay. Now type in git checkout login. Okay. I couldn't branch to it or check it out because I hadn't created it yet. So we type git branch login, all right, and git checkout login. Okay. All right. Like I said, I'm all over the place here with my notes.
Not a valid object name and then master.
You what?
Mine says not a valid object name and then a string quote.
Did you do first git branch?
That's what happened when I did it. The git branch.
Okay.
But I did leave the other in this one.
Yeah, if you would. I don't know what the problem is. And we're not going to go too much longer anyway, so it's already after 4. Okay, so underneath here, I want to create a new file. You know how to do that. We've got touch, right? So I'm just going to type in here touch login.html. Okay, and now I'm going to type in ls, and I can see everything that's there. I branched off of it so you can see the stuff that was there before, but you can also see what's new. And I guess I wasn't even aware of this. Notice too how it takes the folder and it puts it in a different color. All right. So now I want to come back. Okay. So I want to go back again to my main page. All right. And there's a reason I had you do this. I'm going to show you in just a second. But I want to come back and I want to say Git checkout master to try to go back to my master page. Okay? But what I'd like to do is I'd like to be able to add the changes that were made in my login branch. Does that make sense? All right, so I want to be able to add those. So I can type in git merge login. All right, why did it tell me already up to date? Did it at home 3 times yesterday and had no problems with any of this. Never got that. So. It's okay. All right. I'm going to go back very quickly here and look back here at where I was on GitHub. We're trying to. There we go. What is that? Groove music. Okay. Right now, I'm here. I went back to github.com. Okay, so I went back there, but really and truly, I haven't done anything on here. Okay, I created it. Okay, and let's see. It's telling me I did this initial commit, etc., and I did it differently than I did it yesterday, but I don't really care. I did it yesterday. I built the README file by myself. All right, and that, again, that's not that big a thing. I can click on that if I want to, so it's showing me that on my initial repository that it had 3 lines and it took up 47 bytes. Again, do I care? Not really. But again, I'm just showing you that you can see that a lot of the stuff that's in here as you work your way through it is clickable. All right. So what I want us to do is I want us to switch back for a second to Git, and we're going to type in this. Git remote add. Oh, this isn't going to be good. Well, let's see if it works or not. Origin. Now, what you type in here, you're not going to type what I type, but you'll hopefully you'll realize real quick what you should type. So, https://github.com/ now your name. So I typed in Jeff Scott for my name, right? / different. Well, I want us to be able to do a push, but for some reason there's a line of code missing right here. So I'm stopping right here because what I'm going to show you right now isn't going to work. So what we were able to do is we were able to do a git init, a git add, a git status, a git commit, all right? And I want to show you a push and I want to show you a clone. They're not coming up right now. They'll come up tomorrow, all right? And we'll do that first thing, hopefully, very quickly, but then we're going to create this project. All right, so my hope is by the end of the day tomorrow, everybody here will have a project. Even if for some reason we have problems with Git, we're still all going to create an MVC project. It's going to have a database in it. It's going to have 5 pages in it. All right? And my hope is we can get this working and get it committed to Git. If we can't, then we don't. But we're going to at least get that project done. All right, so as soon as you come in tomorrow, please start up Visual Studio. You don't have to do anything else, but just have Visual Studio up and running so we can get going as soon as class starts. All right?